Today, I shall be dealing with Chapter 2 Strong Roots of your English textbook Mindscapes. Strong Roots is an extract from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's autobiography, Wings of Fire. This piece depicts the pen picture of Dr. Kalam's early life, that is, his childhood and sowing the seed of spiritualism in him. So, before going into the detailed explanation of this extract, let us first know the great human being Dr. Abdul Kalam. Abul Pakir Jainulabdin Abdul Kalam was an aerospace scientist who served as the 11th President of India from 2002 to 2007. He was born and brought up in Dhanushkodi, Rameshwaram, in the state of Tamil Nadu. He studied physics and aerospace engineering. He was born on 15th October 1931 and breathed his last on 27th July 2015 at Shillong, India. He was the youngest of 5 siblings. It is said that he even helped his family by selling newspapers at an early age. He was intimately involved in India's civilian space program and military missile development efforts. He thus came to be known as the Missile Man of India. I repeat, the Missile Man of India, for his work on the development of ballistic missile and launch vehicle technology. He also played a pivotal organizational, technical, and political role in India's Pokhran II nuclear tests in 1998. His notable works were Wings of Fire, which is known to be his autobiography, India 2020, Ignited Minds, Indomitable Spirit, etc. He received Padma Bhushan in 1981, Padma Vibhushan in 1990, Bharat Ratna in 1997, Hoover Medal USA in 2009, NSS Von Braun Award in 2013, and many more awards were conferred upon him. He worked in DRDO, Defense Research and Development Organization of India, and ISRO India, Indian Space Research Organization. His birth anniversary is observed as a World Students' Day. So, to sum it all, though it is very difficult to sum as a conclusion about this great personality, but still, to sum it all, he was an engineer, a scientist, an author, a professor, and a politician. Now let us start our chapter, Strong Roots. But before going into the detailed explanation or analysis of the chapter, I would like to tell you about the title of the story or the extract, Strong Roots. So let us first understand what is the function of a root for a tree or a plant. I hope you all know that roots give the plants or the trees water, nutrients to them from the soil, for them to grow up, for them to prepare their own food. So, there must be a good relevance between the title of the extract and the subject matter of this extract. So, it is said, as is the root, so is the tree or the plant. Likewise, it is very, very much relevant in our lives also. Let us find out how. A person's mental and physical structure depends greatly on the framework in his or her childhood. So, what do we understand by this? The days we pass by in our childhood, the mental framework that we have, that we grow in ourselves, that remains in the future years of our lives. So this chapter is very much evident from this extract. As we can see that Dr. Kalam's great self is truly a result of his great childhood. So I hope you have understood the relevance of the title of the chapter, Strong Roots, to its subject matter. Now, in the introductory part of this chapter, we find that this is an extract from Dr. Kalam's autobiography, Wings of Fire. So, I will appeal to you girls to go through his one of the most notable literary works, Wings of Fire. It's a masterpiece. And it is an autobiography. So let us know something about autobiography. What is an autobiography? So there are two terms, girls. One is biography and another one is autobiography. Biography is the life history of a person written by someone else. An autobiography is the life history of a person written by himself. So now you understand what is an autobiography? So this extract is a piece that has been taken from his autobiography, a portion of his life. So in this extract, what he talks? He talks about his childhood, how he had passed his life in his childhood, in his hometown. The piece presents a delightful sketch of the author's early life and the development of his spiritual growth. So this was the introduction to this piece. Now let us begin the chapter. I was born into a middle-class Tamil family in the island town of Rameshwaram in the erstwhile Madras state. Now here there are two things to understand. In the island town of Rameshwaram, so to be precise, he was born in a very small place called Dhanushkodi. And Rameshwaram is in the erstwhile Madras state. Erstwhile Madras state means it was once upon a time called Madras state in the British India during mid-20th century. But later, this state came to be known as Tamil Nadu. My father, Jainulabdin, had neither much formal education nor much wealth. So let us first understand what formal education is. So as we, the students of literature, should know the types of education. So the two types of education are formal education and informal education. Now, formal education is based upon institutional therapy. There is a curriculum, precise curriculum, based upon which there are books, there are printed matters, there are classrooms, there are schools. All these frame, what is called formal education. But there is another type of education which has been greatly propagated and promoted by great educationists in history. For example, our very own Nobel laureate, Rabindranath Tagore. So what is informal education? Informal education works through conversation, the explanation and enlargement of experience. It does not have a precise curriculum to follow, and mostly it is not based upon institutional therapy also. So what we come to know out of this is his father, Jainulabdin, was not literate in the true sense of the word. He did not have formal education in the schools, and he was not wealthy enough or rich enough also. They were just a part of middle class society. But despite these disadvantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and true generosity of spirit. Now, these two things can be in a human being, irrespective of his caste and creed, whether he is rich or poor, or whether he has formal education or not. A person can be wise, and so his father was. He was very generous also. So these two human qualities were there in his father. He had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Ashiyamma. So Jainulabdin was Dr. Abdul Kalam's father's name, and Ashiyamma was his mother's name. And she was also a very kind-hearted woman. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. So, what do we understand from this? We understand from this sentence that their family belonged to middle class society. They did not have formal education, but they had great heart because they used to feed many people. Whenever the people used to get into their houses for any work, they used to be fed by Ashiyamma. Many a times, those people used to be much more than the number of members in their own family. So, from this, you can well understand, girls, that Dr. Kalam's household was a great household. They had great hearts. They were very kind enough. They were generous enough. My parents were widely regarded as an ideal couple. This is very, very nice to hear that his parents were regarded as ideal couple. Means they could set example for others also. My mother's lineage was the more distinguished, one of her forebears having been bestowed the title of Bahadur by the British. Now, here are certain things which we should learn properly. One is lineage. Now, what is lineage? Lineage is the chronological sequence of generations. Means your great-grandfather, then your father, and then you. So this is the proper sequence of a line of generation. That is the lineage. So Ashiyamma's lineage was more distinguished. It was more so as to so respectable in the society. Why? Because one of her forebears means ancestor. For example, it can be one's father, he can be his grandfather, and he can be his great grandfather also. So some of the previous generations, one of them was bestowed, means conferred, with the title of Bahadur by the British. Now the literary meaning of Bahadur is brave, and the men who used to be conferred by this title by the British were the loyal people. They used to be conferred by this title for their service to the British Empire. They used to be called Rao Bahadur in the southern India and Rai Bahadur in the northern India. So such was his mother's lineage. I was one of many children. So as I have told you earlier, that he was the youngest of 5 siblings. And how did he look like? He was a short boy with rather undistinguished looks. Undistinguished looks. Do you find the strange usage of an adjective here? How his looks were? His looks were undistinguished. Means it was lacking distinction. It was very common. It was very ordinary. Why? Because he was a short boy and his parents were all tall. And he was not so good looking. In the contrary, his parents were really handsome. Let us go through the sentence. A short boy with rather undistinguished looks. born to tall and handsome parents. We lived in our ancestral house. Ancestral house, it came due by the generations, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large pakka house made of limestone and brick. Limestone is a form of rock on the Mosque Street in Rameshwaram. So this was his residential address. My austere father used to avoid all inessential comforts and luxuries. See, this is very important to understand what is the basic difference between essential comforts and inessential comforts. Let us first understand what is the meaning of austere. Austere means he was very strict in manner and attitude. Though he did not have formal education, though he did not have much wealth, but he did have a great personality of self. Now let us understand what are inessential comforts. Now, certain things are there, girls, in our lives. Those are very basic amenities which are only essential for our living on this earth, for our survival on this earth. And those are three things. Number one is food. Number two is clothing. Number three is shelter. And if we take number four is medicine. So he used to propagate and promote only these basic things to the members of his family, especially to his children. Other things beyond this, he said that all were inessential comforts. Those are not really very essential for our survival, and they can be regarded as luxury and not the basic things. So you can well understand that how great Jainul Abidin, Dr. Kalam's father, was.